Your kind of music, all day, all night, right here on your only station, Power Radio.
All right, that is Miss Fee with her song Manzi wa Maana, and it's a special dedication to my very amazing, beautiful, illustrious guest, not host. My name is Wanyoike. Welcome to a special edition of the Power Morning Drive Show. You know how we do it here. We have to get you interested and, listening in. And this is your home for big conversations that matter not only to us, but conversations that matter to you. Now, in case you want to hit us up, you can do that on our social media handles. We are at Power Radio across Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. We are also on the infamous X, and you can catch this live broadcast on our YouTube channel. We are at Power Radio. If you've not yet subscribed, kindly go on YouTube. Head out to YouTube, respect yourself enough, subscribe, hit on that notification bell so that whenever we go live, you are notified. You can also catch this live broadcast on our website. We are at www.power254.org/Power Radio. Now, if you can already see, if you've already subscribed to our YouTube channel, you do know for sure that I am absolutely first of all, I'm starstruck because my guest is the one and only Njeri Khan is in the building. I should look for this. Yes, that's for you. Oh my Lord, how are you?
Oh God, I'm fine. I'm fine. It's been a crazy week, crazy weekend. It feels like a long weekend and not that kind of nice way.
Yes.
But I'm glad that I'm here. Thank you for having me.
I was just telling Njeri that since I started working at Power 254, I've wanted to interview her. But time and constraints and sijui nini, but finally I get to do this. Mama, I made it. I told you I would make you proud. Wow, it's so good to see you. So today we shall be talking about something quite specific, and I know something that is very near and dear to your heart, because you and your family, if I would say so, you're known for fighting for democracy in all its forms, or at least in some of its forms here. So it's quite an honor to be able to have this conversation today. Today we are talking about the Africa Drive for Democracy Summit, and maybe just before we can get ahead of ourselves, you can let us know what the Africa Drive for Democracy Summit is all about.
So thank you so much for having me. And the Africa Drive for Democracy is something that was begun, I think, in 2022 by an organization in Tanzania called the Center for Strategic Litigation. And they've been running this every year. And it's about getting Africans to come back, reawaken to democracy. The theme actually for this year is called Rediscovering Africa's Democratic Soul, and it's renewing the commitment for democracy. I think in Freedom House printed in 1989 that 2 of 3 states are rated as not free. Yeah. Wow. And that was back in 89. I don't know if that statistic still stands, but it looks like it does, because what we've seen in the past few years is coups, all over Africa.
Yes.
And that goes to say that there's rising poverty, there's inequality, there's insecurity, there's crime, and people are yearning and wanting so much more. And so more Africans are coming out to fight for what they believe is supposed to be equal justice.
Yes.
It's supposed to be equity. We're supposed to be rising together, not a few of us in the country rise at the expense of everybody else. Right. And that's what this Africa Drive for Democracy is. It's a drive for good governance. It's about respect for human rights, for justice, and for rule of law. So this Drive for Democracy is looking to see that those things come to be realized, not just in one country, but as a continent.
Right.
Because Africa is the richest continent in this world.
Yes.
Yeah?
Yes.
And the West knows it.
Yes.
That's why they have interests in Africa. And that's why they're trying to use the leaders to mine all the beauty, all the riches of Africa
Right.
for themselves, and then we Africans are being left as slaves in our own countries, and that needs to come to an end.
Yeah. And so there has been a series of webinars throughout. So what have been the webinars in that series been focusing on, and what has come out of the webinars?
So we've had four different, we've had three so far, and there's one that's coming up. That should be the last one.
Yeah.
And the sessions have been really, they're different themes or different topics. And the first one was about Ubuntu and the African origins of democracy, just an effort to try and understand where we lost the plot and what needs to happen, because I am because you are, and that's an African thing. Maybe the West, people from the West may not understand it as well as we do, because it's embedded in our culture. Then the second was about beyond elections, democracy, dignity, and inclusive governance. And I mean, the topic speaks for itself, because beyond elections, we've seen politicians mobilize people around elections. And then after elections, nothing happens. They go back into doing what they want for themselves, and they forget about the populace and the citizens and what they were supposed to deliver. Then the third one is digital colonialism and democratic opportunity. And what that it was about was to see what the digital technology is doing and enabling in the African continent. It has been used as a weapon to bring war. It's been used as a weapon to divide people by providing misinformation and disinformation. And it's also been seen as an invasion of privacy and surveillance. I mean, there's many things you can talk about that. So that was a discussion surrounding all those things. And also we saw, especially here in Kenya, during the what we called maandamano, the wave of protest, that people were able to use that digital space to translate the finance bill in a way, in a language that people can understand. So you can see what good it can also do. So it's a double-edged sword that needs to be, we need to realize and see how best to use it for the good of everybody, and also acknowledge that it can be used as a weapon. So the last one is, I don't know if I'm jumping you, but the last one that I will be moderating, and I'm very proud to be moderating this last session, is called Financial Resilience and Africa for Africa's pro-democracy. And this is just about a conversation about how do we move forward, because most civil society, I would say civil society is almost a construct of the West, because they fund organizations. And more often than not, we've seen a lot of organizations struggling to meet the donors' demands or the donors' goals, such that they're donor-driven, but not driven by the needs of the country that they're in. So it's really a conversation about how do we move from that space where it is a donor-driven agenda to a people-driven agenda. Yes, the money may be coming from the donor, or does it have to come from the donor?
Does it have to
I
come
mean,
from
we
the
saw
donor?
in Kenya, people contributed millions of money. So is it possible that we can contribute and build our own spaces without having to depend on the West? Like I said, I think civil society is a construct of the West. And there's a great extent, a truth to that, but then it's something I would like us to explore. And interestingly, the conversations we've had are all over Africa. And this summit it's a lead up to convening,
a physical convening.
But the reason we've had webinars is because we're not able to bring everybody together. Like I said, it's been organized by the Center for Strategic Litigations, and we're not able to bring everybody together from all over the world. I wish we could, because it would be such an amazing conversation. But even still, we've been able to have these webinars and continue to have that conversation. And this convening is just going to be to bring a few people to be able to continue with that conversation and see how do we tap into each other? What can we learn from each other? What can we share? How can we drive our countries and our nations towards freedom? This freedom, is it something we imagine? Is it a reality? Is it, are we free? Have we ever been free? What does freedom look like? You know? But as an African continent, we are youth-led. We are youth-heavy. We are young. We have energy and time. So we can make this continent be what we want it to be. And there's a lot of things that need to happen. So those millennials and those all the other gens
gens.
that Gen Zs have made feel like,
Yes.
where were you guys? We just got here and we're cleaning house.
Yeah.
I think it's working together with all the generations to clean house and truly plant and water our nations to be what they want to be.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
And when you're talking about the conversation that you're going to be moderating, first of all, on a all-female panel, we call them funnels or wanels.
Yay.
we are tired of manels. For those who do not know, manels are panels that are all male. I'm thinking about investing in democracy beyond just the funding. What more investment can the African continent start preparing itself in, so that we can build structures and systems that advance the work of democracy?
I think that's a very good question, because that's what this conversation is about.
Gotcha.
How do we do that? How do we self-fund? How can we be self-reliant? How can we be sustainable? Because we have to be to lead a sustainable democracy, a sustainable drive that we're able to, even when those who are older step out of this space, that the younger ones come and they're not struggling.
Yes.
Because also, whatever we are fighting for should not be what my children will be fighting for, as if we never fought for it.
Yes.
I wish that we would realize some of these gains and our children will come and struggle with something different. But more importantly, I think it's also, for me, it's a call to Africans to start looking within and stop looking outside.
Yes.
Our solutions are homegrown.
Right.
Our solutions are in here.
Yes.
We have them. We believe in ourselves, or if we don't, we must start to believe in ourselves in ways that we have never done.
Yes.
We cannot go where we are going doing the things that we did in the past. If we want to know something, if we want to go in a new place, in new horizons, we've got to do things differently.
Right.
So at this point, while we may be thrown money at as civil society or by embassies or by wherever that money would be coming from, the West, we must be able to find from within ourselves, how do we self-fund for different activities? And it comes with a lot of trust, because even in the space of funding, of donor funding, it comes with a question of trust. I was reading something and it was saying that most of the money that comes even from the West, only a fraction of it gets to the global South. And so even that which is getting to the global South is still being funneled through others, such that the work that is supposed to go down to the organizations or the grassroots is very little of it is getting there to do the real work.
Yes.
And then speaking from an organization where we do reports, sometimes you find yourself buried in reports. You're reporting, the work has become reporting, not the work on the ground.
Not the work on the ground,
And that's just, it's not right,
Yeah.
Yes, we do need to be accountable, and we do everything possible to be accountable. We're not trying to not be accountable, but also let's not be buried in that work of the reporting, because the true work, the real work, is what's happening on the ground.
Yeah. And I do reckon that we are in the midst of a sort of democratic reawakening in Africa. I mean, you just mentioned about the maandamano that we saw during the June-July protests in Kenya. The other time we saw a coup in what's this country, Burkina Faso. They just decided that, guys, how we are done with you, your regime. We are going to institute a new president of our own and to our own liking. So speaking towards the youth of the continent, Africa youth, I mean, it's projected that as for now the population of Africa is 1.5 billion. In 2050 will be 2.5 billion, and out of that 77% will be young people. So we cannot have conversations that continue to keep we cannot have to continue having conversations within governance and democracy and keep them and relegate them from the young people of this nation. So how best can we create spaces for young people of this of Africa to start plugging into the conversation further, and even not just, yes, the streets were amazing, kudos, but decision making, when it comes to the proper decision making on the table, and how do we start engaging them on that meaningful level?
I think there's got to be a very deliberate intergenerational, You come in dialogue.
Yeah.
And it has to be very intentional.
Yeah.
Like you said before about panels that have men, why is there no woman worthy of sitting in that table?
Yeah.
Do women opinions not matter
yeah.
on a panel like that?
Yeah.
And not to say that just because there isn't a woman in a panel that is what it is, but surely we can be able to balance that out. So in the same way, we've got to be very deliberate and intentional in having these intergenerational conversations that are very deliberate, that every time you're having a discussion about this, you have at least 3, you know that 2/3 rule?
Yeah.
There needs to be 2/3 of young people in the room.
Yes.
When it comes to leadership, when it comes to governance, when it comes to finances, when it comes everything, because how else will they learn? They're learning from what they're seeing not going right.
Yes.
But who's teaching them how it's supposed to be done?
Yes.
They're seeing what they don't want, but who's teaching them how what they want should be done? Is it that it's not being done? I strongly believe that is not the case.
Yeah.
But we don't highlight the good things that are going on.
Yes.
And I think that we need to also start acknowledging and pointing out the good that is happening so that we are all not so jaded and lost and feeling hopeless that nothing good is coming out, nothing good is happening. Because it's a laborious exercise.
Tell us about
and
it.
People are being disappeared, people are being threatened, people are being abducted. And that does something to an individual, but that also does something to a movement. It makes you want to stay in your corner, be quiet, don't be seen, don't be heard, just do what you're told to do.
Yeah.
And people could, if only, the thing that they were being told to do was working for them.
Yes.
I remember the president comparing our tax and saying that Japan pays, I think it was 38%. And he was justifying why we should pay more than 15%, 16%.
Yeah.
And I was like, but Japanese, when they get their pay, inakuanga ni kama pocket money. Because everything else is paid for.
Yeah.
You can
Their
walk into
systems are
hospital,
working.
it is free.
Yes.
You can go to school, it is free, and it is good education, and their people are paid.
Yes.
Hospitals are fully resourced. So when he compares our country with Japan,
you're left to wonder.
Yeah, like what can we pride ourselves in to say that because we've paid 16%, that we are getting this much?
Gotcha.
What we are seeing is that we are losing this money. Just leave me with that money. I will take care of my problems. I'll take care of my needs. Because the government is failing and continuously failing and does not want to be told that it's failing.
Yes.
And it will beat you if you say that it's not doing well. Yeah, all we're asking for is accountability.
Yes.
All we're asking for is that the government observes the rule of law. And that is becoming a problem. So if you lift your head and start to say, you should be doing this, there's a constitution. We have one of the most progressive constitutions in the world.
Yeah.
But it's a book that has been shelved somewhere that we keep referring to.
Yeah.
But we are not,
in practice.
In practice, it is not happening.
Yes.
So I think we need to listen to young people because there's a new wave, these new things that we may be resistant to, the older generation may be resistant to because they don't understand.
Yes.
And it's not easy to change because they're the ones who would need to change. But there needs to be that openness and willingness to learn and teach. It has to be both ways.
Right.
You have something to teach me and I must be willing to learn, but I also have something to teach you and you must be willing to learn so that we work together. You enjoy my company and I can enjoy your company because now I speak your language, I understand what you do.
Yes.
But you also understand where I'm coming from and why I need to do things this way.
Yeah.
One of the things I think for me that has really troubled me is even with the rise of young people coming up, is they're dismissing the older people. Yeah. And I never thought I would say this.
Yeah.
But with age comes wisdom. Not for everybody.
Yeah.
My husband tells me, si kila mtu.
Not everybody.
Some people, as older as they get, you're just
It's
like, oh my
hey,
God.
what is happening?
What's happening to you?
Yeah.
But yes, with age comes wisdom and experience that you can only get as you get older. So that you're, however, 40, 50 years old, compared to a 20-year-old, there are things that life has not tried and tested you. So even you don't know what you would do if you are presented with a certain challenge.
Situation,
because you've never been.
Yeah.
But with time, as time goes by, you have learned, you have been challenged and tested, and you know even you. I would never. There are things you can say, me, it would never be me. When the time comes, it is you, like in a heartbeat.
Yes.
you're even ashamed that guy.
Was that
Did me?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
But I mean, with time, you'd be like, yeah, me, that's something. I've been told about this before. Somebody has come and talked to me. Somebody has offered me. And it's not something I would do. And that comes with time. So not dismissing young people and young people not dismissing older people, but finding and respecting and learning what they need to learn.
Yes.
Because that way, then we know that whatever we have fought for, whatever we have wins we have gained, that you will protect them when we hand them over to you, that you will continue to fight for them and you will continue to defend them, more importantly, that you won't take it for granted. People died.
Yes.
People left this country. They may never be able to come back. People were maimed.
Right.
Yeah. People were disappeared.
Trauma.
Yeah.
I mean,
intense.
a lot.
And so you can't just dismiss that you're able to have your phone and walk freely down the road, down the street, and you're not afraid. It took so much. You can't take it for granted that you would go to Uhuru Park. Well, not now. I hope someday we will very soon.
Not now.
But you would go to Uhuru Park and chill under a tree all day, have a picnic, propose to somebody, you know, have a party, dance, anything.
Yes.
People died for that space.
Yes.
And if we don't understand where we're coming from, then we'll not be able to protect the things that we've gotten.
Yes. That's true.
Yeah.
Wow. In case you're just joining us, this is a Power Morning Drive show. It's a very special edition. We are here with a woman who needs absolutely no introduction, the one and only Executive Director of Power 254, Miss Njeri Mwangi. And we're still talking about democracy and specifically about the Africa Drive for Democracy Summit. Now, let's get this date straight. So the 4th of November, that's Monday, you will be hosting the panel on the resilience and funding.
Financial resilience and for Africa's pre-democracy.
Yes. Who is going to be on the panel? Do we know?
Yes, we do.
Yeah.
We have a Nigerian and a South African and a Kenyan.
Yes.
Yemi and gosh, let me so that I say these names right. Just give me a minute.
Okay, that's okay. Yeah. So anyway, as she looks for the names of the panel that we are going to be discussing, I think one of the things that I want to reflect upon is what she said. You are mentioning, or rather, you are stating that have we even ever been free in this, not just country but continent, when it comes to democracy? And it got me thinking about what does freedom mean to you? Like at this particular point, what does freedom mean to you? Even wrapped up with the work that you do. Yeah.
Wow. Are you asking me as a woman? Are you asking me as a citizen of the world?
All of it. All the above.
Well,
yeah.
These are the things that you're thrown at that you're not ready for. What does freedom mean to me? I think freedom means being able to live without judgment of self and of others, and being content in a way that I feel complete and whole.
Yes.
Not inadequate, just complete and whole, and a full acceptance of myself, of where I am, where I'm going, and what I want, what I have achieved, what I want to achieve. And I come home to myself and I'm happy with who I am. And I think that's freedom for me, just having that peace and contentment.
Yeah. That's a good answer. Did we get the names?
Yes. So we are going to have Grace Mwangi of KCDF.
Okay.
She's the Executive Director and of a Financial Resilience Hub. And then we have Yemi from Nigeria. She's the Executive Director of Enough is Enough. Then we have Mankodi. She's the Chief Executive Officer of Kagiso Trust in South Africa. On the floor of this same conversation, we're going to be having Femi Longe from Nigeria and Hanifa Farsafi, an activist, a journalist from Kenya, that will be contributing to the conversation.
And of course, you.
And I will be your moderator, yours truly, Njeri Mwangi.
For sure. What can we expect? First of all, the registration details, and then what can we expect?
If you haven't registered, please do. This is the last of that conversation, and it's going to be a really lit conversation. There's a what is it called? A link
Yeah.
that is going to be provided. And what do you guys say over here?
Over
at
here,
the bottom
as
of this?
we will link it on the description box.
Yes.
Of Power Radio. So that means you have to go and subscribe to our YouTube channel.
What she said.
Yes.
That's how you register. It's
Yeah.
going to be at 3 p.m. on Monday, East African time. I don't know what time that is where you are. So you'll need to check,
Plus
convert
3
what the time
GMT.
is.
Yes.
Because it'll be at 3 p.m. Kenyan time. And the discussion is about financial resilience for Africa's pro-democracy movement. How do we fund ourselves? How can we?
Yes.
How do we reduce the reliance of
The West.
donor funding from the West? Can we fund our own movements?
Yes, and I think we can.
We can. I mean, we've proven that we
Yeah,
can.
we
We've shown
can.
that
Yes,
we can.
we can.
And I think Kenya is one of the most, what do they say? Kenya is one of the most,
Progressive?
no, generous, kindest.
Oh.
We give.
Yeah.
We give to people in need. And I think all over Africa, the word harambe, when
Yes.
somebody is sick, you support, you give money. When a child has been born, you put a basket and you go and visit, you give. When when somebody has lost somebody, you
give.
put money together, we just give, because
yes.
that's how we live as a people.
Yes.
And so can we move that to grow and be what we want to be as a nation?
Yes.
I mean, for me, it was like, wow.
Yeah.
Seeing how people gave towards the victims of the June, July protests. I think it was absolutely amazing. That money was raised so fast.
Yeah.
But also the accountability for it, People said, this is how much we've raised. And it was very clear.
Yes.
And where that money went, it was accounted for to the last cent.
Yeah.
So I think if we put such institutions, and you mentioned that before, do we have to have institutions? Can we institutionalize this?
Yes.
Can we expect this of our governments, that they would be accountable? Because that's what this drive for democracy is about.
Yes.
Seeking and fighting for good governance and accountability.
Right.
We have a right for our money to be accounted for. We have a right for our money to be spent and used on whatever it is that we want it to be used for.
Yeah. So I think we are really squeezed for time here, and I will just maybe call upon you to give us your parting shots here. I would love to hear, what are your dreams and hopes for African democracy?
My dream for this continent is that we would govern ourselves in a way that is befitting for us and of us. That we would be able to be accountable and to see that no one is left behind. That our people are fed, that we can afford healthcare, that nobody sleeps hungry, that if you go to hospital, you will find a doctor and you will find medicine, and you will find whatever labs you need to be done, all under the same roof, because that's what it's supposed to be.
Yes.
That you will be able to walk down the street holding your loved ones, whether it's your children or your partner, without fear of being mugged or stabbed or shot.
Yes.
All over this continent. There are places in this continent that you cannot just get out of your hotel room unless you're being picked by people who live there.
It's sickening.
Because it is not safe.
Wow.
Yet that there'll be no xenophobia, that you can live and work anywhere. We can be borderless. These borders were put by
the
colonialists.
Yes.
And now, even just moving within the continent is so much more expensive. You'd rather just travel outside
And then
of the continent,
Right.
and then, go that way so that you can come this way, because it's cheaper.
Yes.
Yet I could go down this within the continent, that would be able to travel within and trade within, because our riches in this continent can sustain the world. So for me, my dream is that we would be able to realize that, and our leaders would be able to realize that. And even them, they start telling the West that, no, we're not doing this.
Yeah.
We start giving conditions.
Yeah.
My dream is that we will not continue to just die from donors and to die from
Reports.
debts that reports,
Yes.
debts that keep accumulating
Yes.
year, month, that is not even we're not benefiting from, because it's going to a few. Maybe it's even going back to those people who are giving that same money.
In a way, yeah.
In a way, because where is this money that is being given? If it's you're talking about infrastructure, where is the infrastructure?
Yes.
If you're talking about schools, where are the schools? If it's teachers, where is the money?
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
So my dream is that we would be able to govern ourselves and raise this continent to be what it truly is. We're a beautiful continent. We're a beautiful people. And we have a lot to offer the world.
Wow.
Yeah.
I think that's a good place to end our conversation. Njeri Khan, Mwangi, please tell me you'll come back.
Oh, but you know I will.
Please,
this was just the beginning. We have a conversation
to have a conversation.
We
many conversations. But thank you so much, and we look forward to that panel. So it's Monday, the 4th of November, from 4:30 p.m.
From 3. Oi,
Did you
scratch
say?
that.
Yeah.
It's Monday, 4th November.
Yes.
At 3 p.m.
At
East
3
African
p.m.
time.
East African time. Do not get that twisted.
Register on the link.
Yes,
that link.
we will keep it. We will put it on the description box on our Power Radio YouTube channel. So let's see you then. Thank you so much, guys. This has been the Power Morning Drive Show. Goodbye and God bless.
Your kind of music, all day, all night, right here on your only station, Power Radio.